Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Todd Chrisley fears for wife Julie Chrisley's health and welfare while she remains in prison. The couple's attorney, Jay Sargent, shared in a statement to the New York Post that Todd, 55, is extremely disappointed and dissatisfied after a judge ruled that Julie, 51, will continue to serve her original 84-month sentence. Todd is also concerned about Julie's health and welfare, especially after she suffered from a serious health problem. Details about Julie's condition were not disclosed by Todd nor their attorney. However, Todd and Julie's daughter Savannah Chrisley revealed on a March episode of her Unlocked podcast that her mom learned she could possibly have a tumor. During the episode, Savannah, 27, read letters aloud from Julie. "I walked in thinking it was gynecology. I sat down with the doctor and she proceeds to tell me that my HCG level was high, 10.2. This is a pregnancy hormone. It should not be that high," Julie wrote to Savannah. "If it were a little higher, I would test positive on a pregnancy test. Since that's not a possibility, it could be a sign of a tumor." The message continued, "I literally fell apart. How can this be happening? I'm going to have blood work redone and get a scan. I've not told anyone and I'm not going to until I know what's going on. I'm so scared. I just want my husband. I don't know if I can do this without him." Savannah has not given an update on Julie's health status since. Julie also previously battled breast cancer. In 2012, she had a double mastectomy and followed by a hysterectomy the next year before going into remission. Late last month, Julie appeared in court for her resentencing hearing. Us Weekly confirmed that the judge at the United States District Court for the Northern District of Georgia ruled that Julie's 84-month sentence was sufficient. Savannah and her brother Chase Chrisley were present in the courtroom. Earlier this year, the case was sent back to the lower court after the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals concluded that there was no evidence Julie was involved in the entire bank fraud scheme dating back to 2006. Todd and Julie were indicted on charges of tax evasion, bank and wire fraud, and conspiracy in 2019. Despite maintaining their innocence, the Chrisley Knows Best stars were found guilty in June 2022. Julie received 7 years behind bars, which was later reduced by 14 months. Todd, for his part, was initially sentenced to 12 years in prison, but was later shortened to 10 years. In January 2023, Julie and Todd began serving their time at Federal Medical Center in Lexington, Kentucky, and Federal Prison Camp Pensacola in Florida, respectively. Iowa City, Iowa, KCAU. A Detroit man accused of what a judge called a brazen, broad daylight robbery of a Sioux City jewelry store back in 2022 will be in federal prison for more than 8 years. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, Dant Harris, 32, was sentenced Thursday. He pleaded guilty in May to 1-count conspiracy to interfere with commerce by robbery and 1 count of interference with commerce by robbery. Harris was accused of a smash-and-grab robbery at Gunderson's Jewelry on October 29, 2022 with the help of his co-conspirators. He was previously convicted in 2015 in 2 other robberies in Nebraska and Massachusetts and was under supervised release during the 2022 incident. Harris and others broke into Gunderson's with sledgehammers and stole Rolex watches, according to the DOJ. They then used a stolen car to escape. Later, an abandoned car was found behind a different business in Sioux City. After a police investigation, it was found that it had been stolen and used in the Gunderson's robbery, and evidence connected Harris with the crimes. In addition to being under federal supervised release during the robbery, Harris was also waiting on a federal firearms charge to be resolved at that time. Harris was sentenced to 105 months, 8 years, 9 months in federal prison and will have to serve 3 years under supervised release afterwards. The federal system does not allow for parole. Todd Chrisley has never been a man to shy away from sharing his emotions. Whether on their reality show, Chrisley Knows Best or in interviews, he has always worn his heart on his sleeve. But as he faces the stark reality of life without his wife Julie by his side, the usually confident Todd is gripped by fear. Not for himself, but for Julie, who remains in prison serving her sentence. His once boisterous voice, the voice that used to crack jokes and exude charisma, now trembles with worry as he grapples with the growing concerns about his wife's health and welfare. The Chrisleys' rise to fame was one that fascinated millions. Viewers were captivated by the family's lavish lifestyle, quick wit, and undeniable charm. But behind the glitz and glamour of their carefully curated reality, a much darker storm brewed. Legal battles involving fraud charges led to Todd and Julie being sentenced to prison, their empire crumbling beneath the weight of controversy. Julie, ever the poised and composed matriarch, had been the rock of the Chrisley household. She was the calming force in the face of Todd's sometimes fiery personality, the glue that held their family together. Now, locked behind bars, far from the home she so lovingly cared for, Julie's absence leaves an aching void, not only in the hearts of her family but in the public eye as well. Yet it's not the absence alone that troubles Todd. Recently, Todd's fears for Julie's health have grown to near obsessive levels. Prisons, as anyone knows, are not known for their creature comforts, much less the kind of care someone like Julie might need. Todd has shared that his wife, while a picture of grace on the outside, has had her battles with underlying health issues. And now, without the top-notch care she's grown accustomed to, he worries daily about how she's holding up. In interviews and through statements released by his legal team, Todd has voiced concern over the conditions within the prison where Julie is serving her time. He has spoken out about inadequate health care, unsanitary living conditions, and the emotional toll that comes with prolonged incarceration. Julie, once surrounded by luxury, is now in a facility where she must fend for herself, and Todd is convinced this will have a dire impact on her well-being. Todd has also revealed that Julie's mental health has been particularly fragile. The isolation, the stark environment, and the knowledge of what her family is going through without her weigh heavily on her mind. He talks about how difficult it must be for her, how strange it must feel to be away from her children for so long, especially their youngest son, Grayson, who is still in his formative years. For a mother who prided herself on being present, every day must feel like a cruel separation. It is this emotional strain, Todd fears, that may be the most damaging of all. The once close-knit family is now splintered by distance and circumstance. Todd, too, is dealing with his own prison sentence, but his mind constantly drifts to Julie. He has expressed that while his own struggles are significant, it's the uncertainty of Julie's condition that keeps him awake at night. He wonders if she is being treated fairly, if she's eating properly, if she's sleeping. His imagination spirals into dark places, envisioning the worst scenarios: illness without medical attention or stress leading to further health complications. While many may view Todd and Julie's predicament as the result of their own actions, Todd is resolute in his belief that the punishment is too severe, especially for his wife. He has stated multiple times that he feels Julie's sentence doesn't fit the crime, and that being a mother and wife should have been taken into greater consideration during sentencing. His biggest fear, though, is that she will not emerge from this ordeal the same woman who went in. Friends and family have tried to reassure Todd, offering words of comfort and hope, reminding him that Julie is strong and resilient. But to Todd, the man who has always prided himself on being the protector of his family, nothing anyone says can ease his mind. He feels helpless, cut off from the woman he loves, unable to offer her the support she so desperately needs. Every phone call from her, every brief update on how she's doing, is scrutinized by Todd, looking for hidden signs of distress, listening for any wavering in her voice that might hint at deeper problems.